Hey there, welcome to 3Spoonies. We're your hosts, Joe, Karen, and Claire. This is episode number 12 on being loud and proud about your disability. So join us as we dive in.
The Awards People is a specialist award writing agency who help you get recognition you deserve for your achievements. Over the years, they've gotten to know about and meet so many individuals, charities, companies, and organisations that offer amazing products and services, but who rarely get recognised for it, or who enter awards but never get any further than the nomination stage. This is where the Awards People come in with their experience and expertise in writing multi-award winning applications. Whether you're looking for initial research into what awards are available for you to enter, or support with the award nominations and/or award submission forms, the Awards People are the people for you. 93% of all entries go through to the finals, and 81% go on to win their category.
Hi, I'm Joe from Bright Cat Business Solutions.
I'm Karen from Pony Pony Pony.
And I'm Claire from Sparkle's Gift Boutique.
And together we're 3Spoonies, navigating our way through life and business with not enough spoons. Today we are joined by the lovely Adelaide Edwards, who is going to be talking to us about being loud and proud about your disability, which is not a thing you hear often. Adelaide, would you like to introduce yourself and what you do?
I certainly would. So I'm Adelaide and I own the Workstation, which is a virtual assistant service. And I offer all things administrative for busy professionals who want to free up their time and use it better on core business tasks and or to find a bit more balance really. And not that any of us do, but in their lives somehow. But that's what I offer. And I come from Guernsey. I moved to Leeds about 6 or 7 weeks ago. So lots going on. And just at the moment trying to settle in and get to know people. And so that's where I currently am at.
That's quite the move.
It really is.
I kind of want to ask if there's a story behind that, or just did you fancy a move?
Well, there is kind of a story. So I don't know if nobody ever actually seems to know where Guernsey is in the Channel Islands. Do you?
I know people from Guernsey.
You all know. Well, if you don't know, it's a small island just off France. In fact, it's a group of islands, part of a group of islands, and they're very expensive islands. And so, I come from Guernsey, my partner comes from Guernsey, and it's just so expensive. Like in recent years as well, like the inflation, it's just mind-blowing. And so me and Ben, that's my partner, kind of discussed it over a year really, and we didn't really know where to go. It was right, okay, so what is this, like just pin the tail on the donkey scenario, or how do we go about it? And it just happened that I have a friend in Leeds, got chatting. She's another SBS winner as well. And we got chatting, and she said, well, I moved to Leeds a couple of years ago and from Guernsey, and I love it. She said, it's great. It's been a really good move for me. And so I was like, right, I can get some info from you then. And bless her, she literally like ladened me with information. It was amazing. And so we had this like little 8-week slot suddenly where everything fell into place. And so it was just like, right, let's do it. And we did. And I've got a 2-year-old and a 16-year-old. It's mad.
Wow.
Glutton for punishment, clearly.
That is a mad move, but well done.
Thank you. So we're just trying to, I think we're just trying to, our brains are trying to catch up now with what's actually happened. But my 16-year-old is still in Guernsey. She's just finishing she's finished them now, her GCSEs, and then she's staying with her, as she calls her granny. She's 16 and she still calls her granny, which is lovely. And so that she's just going to spend the summer there. Obviously Guernsey's got beaches and everything like that, so she wanted to make not the weather's been great, but she wanted to make the most of her sort of final summer there. But And she's, it's all kind of very final, the way she's talking about it. But I'm like, mate, you'll be over there every, couple of months or so you don't have to worry. I said, you've got the freedom. You don't have a 2-year-old, you can just back and forth as you want. You've got somewhere to stay, you're living your best life, mate.
So all sounds good. Right. So we should discuss our topic, which is suggested by your fine self, of being loud and proud about your disability.
Yes.
Now, that to me suggests it came from a place where you weren't.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when I'm 40 now, I got diagnosed at 32. So I've got psoriatic arthritis. And when I first got diagnosed, I was just, I just completely was in shock and in grief for the life that I had and the life that I was going to have. So, just a completely, I suddenly couldn't do all the usual physicality of things that I would normally do. And, obviously there's, as, I'm sure, have been for you guys as well, there's a period of time where you have to adjust to it and, your disease activity is very active, and you're finding the right medications. So I've had sort of all sorts of experiences along the way with employers. Obviously, I've got my own business now, and I think for most of us, probably it's all part of it, But yeah, so throughout the years, I've been quiet about it. I haven't said much about it. And I've done the opposite as well, sort of later on in time. And I think it's just it's really difficult to make the judgment whether you, particularly with employers, whether you tell them or not, obviously you've got to be completely comfortable with it, but you get really mixed reactions, I find. And personally, as somebody with an invisible disability, my medication, it allows me to do my everyday activities. I get fatigue and stuff like that, but nobody understands it if they don't get it. And, I've had the kind of, oh, why don't you go and see a doctor?
Tried that one.
Yeah, that ship sailed.
Or, why don't you go and do a bit of yoga? That might help. And you're like, yeah, cheers for that. Or you have people like, anytime you mention anything to do with it, you can see they're internally rolling their eyes like, oh gosh, sick note over here, and it's really difficult to navigate. And I had never thought when I was diagnosed that it would be so difficult to navigate. But I think it's really sort of important to feel out every situation and then make a choice as to whether you feel it's the right situation in which to share your story and to share, because a lot of people, unfortunately, they just don't understand and they're not interested in understanding either,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fatigue itself, most people go, oh, you're a bit tired. No, it's like hitting a brick wall.
Yeah, literally.
And, your limbs feel like they're made of lead.
Yeah.
It's completely different to I'm tired.
Yes. Yeah. And I've had, like in workplaces, I've had, people liken it to, oh, well, I've had the flu. Oh, okay. Well, that's, I'm sorry you've had that, it's unfortunate, but you will get better from it, it's unfortunately, and it's it's an unpleasant way of putting it, but it's a life sentence, it's not curable, it's not something that's ever going to change, and to try and get on with your daily tasks, it's just it can feel sometimes really impossible, and it's a huge heavy burden, and it's very difficult if you feel that you can't share it. But yeah, so in some instances I'm loud and proud, and in some instances I'm a little bit more on the DL, I don't necessarily, and I very much feel people out now, and that's that's through many years of experiences, which haven't been so great, basically.
Yeah, and it can be difficult to navigate. For example, my husband's currently ill, he's got man flu, and at one point he was complaining that everything was hurting, he was achy, and he couldn't sleep more than a couple hours at a time. And he felt awful. And then he's like, I'm sorry, honey, I realise you feel like that every day.
Yeah.
It's fine, that's my normal.
That's it though, right? It's comparable, I guess. Yeah. I suppose it's comparable, because obviously if you've never experienced, having a condition, or what it's like to live in the everyday of that, then I suppose to them I was once one of them. It's not us and them. We're all part of the same, but yeah, it is sometimes difficult to explain to other people.
It is, especially when it is your everyday, because you don't think about explaining it. It is what it is.
You just kind of get along with it, don't you, now? And just it's just normal. And until you can't do something more, because I complain to Joe and Karen a lot, and they're like, well, I used to be able to do this, and I could do this, and now I just can't.
And what about you guys? Are you guys loud and proud about your disabilities, or how do you navigate it?
I think the same. I'm a lot more open about it now than I was at first. I had a lot of bad experiences of being judged, and it's like, oh, just get over it, go back and get a proper job, all that kind of stuff. Or but you can do this, and why can't you do that? That's the worst. It's like, well, I do certain things, but then I know I'm going to be like dead for a few days afterwards and have to manage it. So I'm very kind of wary, not so much wary, but I choose who I talk to about it, and I'm open with. But I'm a lot more open than I was.
For sure, yeah, I can relate.
There's sort of multiple sides to it, because sometimes within a social group or an organisation, you can sort of be first through the door, which can be really helpful for other people behind you, because they're like, oh, that person did it, actually it was okay. But there can also be the thing that you can become the symbol of that illness or condition or something else. And I've seen in some companies when they've been really good about working in policies, but it's not then a disability policy, it's a policy very much aimed at Sarah, who we currently have here, and here are things that help her. And you can sometimes get well, my friend had this condition and they did this, that and the other, and it's like, well, yes, but we are all individual actual human beings. So
yeah, this is so familiar, like literally everything that everyone's saying is so familiar.
Yeah, well, it was most of my time during my corporate working life, I had mental health struggles, I had migraines. I would not mention it unless I had to, because I knew there was a stigma around it. And then when I had Bell's palsy, I mean, that was during work, I could not mention it. And then I had 2 months off, but I never mentioned the struggle I was having afterwards, which was the start of the fibro, from what I understand. But these days, I run a community, I have to be loud and proud. And it's on my business website, because potential clients need to know, this is what I have, this is what I deal with. I may not be able to like jump at a second's notice and go, right, I can get that done. I often can, and I'll regret it later. But it's like, they need to understand sort of where I'm coming from, which my clients have been really good with. And I often tell me to go rest if I'm doing stuff I shouldn't be when I need to be resting. And I even had recently a big project who read through my website and was actually impressed that I put all that on. And she's like, I like to give people like you the work. So it's like, on one hand, it's good, but on like, it depends where you're coming from.
Yeah. It's definitely depends on the person. Some people are so open, and they might know somebody in a similar position, or they might have something themselves that which is always a great starting and talking point between a client and business, because we could all talk about it to the cows come home, because obviously we know exactly what the positions each other are in, and the prejudices that we all have to unfortunately face.
Yeah, we will explore that in a little bit more detail very soon, but now it's time for some spoonfuls of loveliness and loads of great things from our sponsors.
Add a new host of the commercial and domestic utilities business in conjunction with UW and Full Power Utilities, offering an all-round personal service to help people saving money on their bills whilst giving peace of mind of how great low prices and impartial advice. Offering a national service in the UK, I'm happy to help any sized domestic and commercial property, ensuring more of your money remains where it should be, and that's in your pocket. For all your utility requirements, call Chris on 07977 060 904. Little Pickles Indulgence at Healing Harmony Studio. With a background in aromatherapy, Reiki, baby massage, and reflexology, Nicole knows what it takes to create a calm and healing sanctuary that gets you back to you. If you're lucky enough to live near Coventry, Warwickshire, she can offer face-to-face services in everything from hot stone to Indian head massage. Whether you're pregnant and need specialist care, want to bond with your baby, or have specific health concerns. If you're further afield, she can supply essential oil blends for all occasions. She take a moment for yourself, as well as a wide range of ethically sourced crystals to help you when you need an extra boost. Products are available for the whole family, along with advice on how to make them work in combination. Whether you need a relaxing blend, energizing, or help with a specific problem, there is something available for you. You can join the Facebook group to find out more, learn techniques, and select the products that are right for you at Little Pickles Indulgence at Healing Harmony Studio for products and advice, or littlepicklesmassage.co.uk for a more hands-on experience.
Right, welcome back to episode 12 on being loud and proud about your disability. Now, when I first set up the Facebook group, I actually went and looked, because there's a flag for everything these days. Is there a disability flag? And there is. And those are the colours that you see around I'm using on things. It looks a little bit muted though. I wish it was a bit brighter. Have you caught with at any point that you've had to say, like, no, this is me. This is what I deal with on a daily basis, and sort of really had to put it out there?
Definitely. I have, yeah. And, again, some people are great. Some people are really lovely about it. They don't necessarily understand, but they want to understand. And, that's half the battle, really. But I've also had, sometimes, actual physical eye roll. And, I'm sure you know what I mean when I say the internal eye roll. You just can see that person is looking at you thinking, oh, here we go again, sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, in the workplace before, my physicality, I can only do so much. And then unfortunately, it's to a point where, I can't do certain things. And so I've had to sort of say, look, I can't do this because of X, Y, and Z. It's all very well, we talk so much, especially in workplaces, about nowadays diversity and inclusion, but sometimes you wonder, don't you, whether it's actually just they're doing it because it's a tick box exercise, or whether it's they actually are fully immersed and committed to being inclusive. But yeah, if it's out of my physicality, I can't do it, then I can't do it, and I have to say. And yeah, there have been times where I've had to just put it out there and just explain why I can't do it, because obviously my condition, it's got the two facets running alongside. Obviously, it's got the inflammation of the joints, but then it's also got the skin component of things. And, there's been things like, perhaps team building days or things like that, where I haven't necessarily been able to do that team building because, there might be an element, where we're having to be out and about and it's not going to suit my skin, unfortunately. And particularly now I'm on meds, because a lot of them make you photosensitive. So yeah, you just got to say, and it is what it is sometimes, unfortunately. You're kind of forced into that position.
You are. I don't think anybody should be, but you are.
Well, it's also that ongoing thing. It's like, but it is coming out, really. But you might say, oh, I came out at this age or on this date, but you have to keep coming out because you'll meet new people who don't know. It's not like everyone's informed and then you're fine. And
especially when you've got an invisible illness.
Yeah, that's it.
It's that classic line, isn't it? Oh, but you don't look like you're ill.
Yes.
It's like, oh, but just go away.
I feel like I'm about to fall over.
Yeah, I feel dead inside, but yeah, look, I'm glad I look great to you. Yeah, no, it's hard. It really is hard. But yeah, no, it's funny, isn't it? Like how, if you've got a broken leg, people are like, oh, quick, let me open the door for you. Let me do this. Let me do that for you. Oh, you can't get your cup of tea yourself. Do you want me to go and get your cup of tea? Oh, and, when, you've got something that's, painful to you, but because you look fully able-bodied, you know, even if you say so, nobody's running around like that for you. Not that I'd want them to anyway, particularly, but you know, there's not even the, are you okay? Are you feeling all right? You know, how's it going sort of thing. No check-in, no nothing. So yeah.
No, it often feels like, oh no, they're just lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes when you don't get that check-in, because obviously like, you think about it sometimes, and I'm one of those, I will generally check in with people on how they're doing and stuff like that. And I'm not doing it to expect it back. It's like sometimes it's like, yeah, I am struggling as well. Like, you know,
Yeah.
a little bit of grace to go my way would be really nice.
Yeah. Hi, I exist. Hi.
I was wondering actually, how do people feel about sort of visual things? Because I've seen like badges with sliders on for like, this is my social battery, or this is my pain level, or this is my fatigue level. How do people feel about those?
See, I think if
Um,
I've never seen them, no, either. I think if you're in our gang, if you're one of us, then that would be cool, you know, because we get it, you know. But I personally think that if you were to wear that around a completely able-bodied workplace, you get the eye rolls. I genuinely do, sadly. I mean, that's how I feel,
They
but
don't even see it. It's like anybody who has any condition would understand and see it, whereas the able-bodied probably don't even notice it's there.
I suppose it's a bit like the sunflower lanyard. So my son has one of them for his autism, and I've had people say to me, but he doesn't look autistic. I was like, you go and try to have a conversation with him then, because you ain't getting nothing. Like he's pretty much non-verbal, you know. And I feel like if you watch him long enough, you can tell that he is. And I've had people, we've been out before, and someone's taken us out, like going from queuing somewhere, like, oh, no, come this way and stuff like that. And it's like, well, why should he do that? And it's like, so the visual stuff is there, but people are still ignorant to it, unfortunately.
yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, because often, you know, they're not looking for anything like that. And to be fair, you know, I mean, I don't know about you guys because I don't know, you know, your journeys in their entirety. But me going from a completely able-bodied person at 32, I walked everywhere, you know, I was fit, I was, you know, you know, having that period of time where I couldn't do anything. I could barely even, you know, turn on a light switch. It was so painful, let alone open a jar or, you know, walk anywhere. And then obviously my meds kicked in and I was able to, you know, have more of a normal life, but nothing like it once was. You know, I think looking back on the days where I was a fully able-bodied person, I think to myself, would I have been ignorant to that? You know, would I have been, and to be honest with you, quite possibly, because it's not necessarily on my radar. Like I would care, you know, I would definitely care, you know, and show kindness and understanding and, you know, try to put myself in the other person's shoes as much as I could, definitely. But would I notice certain things? Probably not.
No, I don't think, I know I didn't. And I think my biggest learning, mine was with my son, having him with his autism made me kind of look at things very differently from him being such a young age. And I look back on who I was then to who I am now, and it's like, oh, I was probably a bit judgy. And I wasn't as sympathetic to people's situations as what I am now. Like I'm a lot more understanding of things, and I just see things differently because obviously I suffer with stuff myself as well as him. So it definitely changes your outlook when you actually go through it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think you really realise how society isn't geared for people like us or like Dylan.
But there's no education for it. Like
Just
you know,
about to say exactly
when you
the
go
same
through
thing.
school,
Yeah.
you know, he was at a well, he still is at a school for special needs kids. Compared to it was only when he went to secondary school where we were living down in Bromley that it was like, oh, you can get a school with a unit in it. And it was like he couldn't cope with a class of like 30 kids and being taken out for private lessons as and when needed. Like he needs that special setting. But there wasn't like the inclusion for kids to know about other kids or adults that had some kind of learning disability, physical disability. It was very much kind of like you kind of hidden in the corner and just, you know, we don't talk about that.
Well,
That's
it's
really
also
sad, isn't it?
Mm.
it's not
Really
all
sad.
Sorry, I was going to say, it's not all sort of all different conditions, all different things. They're not all comparable. There's all different system, all different ways of measuring. And sometimes, like, I quite liked it after COVID when you saw people with red, yellow and green badges at networking, and red was like, stay away right away.
Don't hug me.
Yellow was maybe, green was like, go in for a hug. And I think if there was something like a traffic light thing, so it was just like, take sort of maybe a mental thing, a physical thing, an emotional thing out of it, and just have like, yeah, this is red, it's not going to happen today, and have that somehow be recognised as a thing. I just think it'd sort of simplify everything.
Definitely. But I think what Claire said definitely about education, there needs to be education around this, you know, and, you know, from a younger age as well, just so people can understand it. And so people aren't going, you know, because we have lots of other prejudice, don't we, that we talk about. You know, we've started to look at educating children on these prejudices. But I always feel like the disability thing is overlooked. I don't know about you guys, but I feel that it is.
It really is, yeah. I think
Right.
from an adult and a child standpoint, it's still very much kind of in the coming out stage of being talked about and accepted, and you know, it kind of sometimes it just feels like that dirty little secret in the back of a closet, and you know, hide it away from everyone.
Or things imposed by people who absolutely aren't disabled. Like, I remember at school getting this list of correct terms to use. And like, my mum had MS. I spent a lot of time with people in the MS Society. And it said things like, you can't say disabled toilet because that's offensive. You can't say this, you can't say that. Or when it was sort of the people first language and things. And it's like, how much of this has come from disabled people and how much is this other people trying to impose their will? And it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, because you find a lot of things that are put into place for people comes from people that have just like studied and got a degree in some kind of doctorate thing, but it's not always from people that actually suffer or deal with that condition.
Yeah.
You know,
And
whereas
nobody's been consulted at all.
no,
Yeah.
you know, I think that would be the best way probably to get the understanding out there is speak to people that have these conditions or disabilities and be like, okay, what's the best way to get people to understand it and use their perspective instead of someone else's that has no clue.
Yeah, and I think if you asked a lot of people, you know, just people with disabilities, you know, I think most would just say, look, I'm just looking, you know, just to be accepted, really, for it to be, you know, I don't think they're looking for any kind of special treatment or, you know, just to be accepted and not to have that kind of stigma attached and, you know, the fear of talking about it, or, you know, just saying, oh, I can't do this because, you know, I'm having a bad day with it, you know, just to have just a bit of kindness, really, I think.
Yeah, because we don't want to be treated any differently. Like, we want to be treated the same as anyone would treat someone. You know, it's just a bit of understanding. I think that's all that we really need.
And a bit of an intersectional approach as well, because, you know, have you seen like all male panels on women's health and things? And it's like, there are different voices out there. Let's hear those, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, completely right on that.
Yeah, I mean, even with the sort of the language we use, especially when they did the person-centric one, and there was actual disabled people going, no, I don't like this. But they're like, no, this is the right way to do it. I mean, even when I set up the Facebook group, me and Stacey had a conversation about was calling it Business Success Network for Disabled Entrepreneurs the right language. So I'm a disabled person, I say yes. But people actually jumped on it on a post talking sort of about it, going, you're not disabled, so how can you run this community? It's like, she's not, I am. I'm disabled. It's like the people in it are disabled, it's community led. But yeah, people got really uppity, and I got the feeling they were, you know, able-bodied people white knighting.
And quite frankly, that should be celebrated, because if there's somebody who gives a crap about it, you know, and wants to help and, you know, give people, disabled people a voice, surely that's a good thing, no?
Yeah,
You think so?
But no, somebody got offended, and several people got offended, and I do get the feeling they were able-bodied people getting
I mean, I'm
offended.
going to put it out there. There's too many things that people get offended by nowadays.
Absolutely, I agree.
Just ridiculous.
100%. Yeah.
Like, just some of the stuff you read sometimes, I'm just like, oh, you keep like, did that actually come out your mouth? Like, and how are these things not allowed to be talked about anymore? We can't say this. It's just like, really?
Well, I think true allyship is so, so powerful. And, you know, we don't want to sort of underplay that. But when you're speaking over someone else, it's like I remember being part of NUS disabled students when there was the big talk about people first language. And at that point, it was NUS students with disabilities. And the first thing we voted on at the conference was to change it to disabled students. He said, you don't say that for any other liberation group. You don't say, like, there's not students with gay tendencies. It's, you know, why are we trying to sort of underplay and downplay something that's such a huge part of our lives?
Yeah, it's almost like people sort of dance around things, isn't it? You know, it's just like address it. It is what it is. But yeah, I think as well, if something's coming from a malicious place, then obviously you know that it's coming from a malicious place. But if there's good intent behind it, then I think you have to take it with, you know, the intention that the person's trying to give, you know.
Yeah, I think it's like that's what kind of makes it important to be loud and proud when it's appropriate, because you know, we do have a voice, we do exist. There are a lot of us, more now every day, but people expect us to sort of sit quietly in the corner and go away, and that doesn't help anyone.
Yeah, it's almost like, oh yeah, we know that pocket of society exists, but you know, they're over there somewhere, you know.
Yeah. So
It's
Adelaide,
that othering, isn't it? Sorry.
sorry, go for it. Go for it.
No, I was just to say, it's like that othering thing that if you have to say person with disability to remind yourself that someone's a person, there's more that's a problem beyond your language, to be fair.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well said.
One thing we asked all our guests: do you have any tips for in disability, in business, life in general?
Tips, that is a good question. I think just listen to your body, personally. I spent a lot of time just trying to push through things. And yeah, I know that obviously we're in a society where, you know, obviously a lot of people have jobs that are 9 to 5. But if you can find a way to listen to your body, even if it's just to go home for an hour, if that's, you know, possible for you, just to rest, find a quiet space to rest until you have to start working again, I think that's always positive, because even if I can just rest for an hour, and yeah, it's not, you know, it's not full on rest, but even if I can rest for an hour, it still helps. So yeah, listen to your body and just be kind to yourself, you know, because unfortunately we're in a world where not everybody is. So be kind to yourself, be your own best friend, and just try and take the best of care of yourself if other people aren't, you know, having your best interests at heart, you know, particularly in the workplace. And yeah, just understand that this is the norm for you. It's that you've got a new norm. Don't be hard on yourself. There's going to be a grieving process when, you know, if you're not obviously born with disability, if it's something that's new to you. And yeah, just be your own best mate, I think.
Good advice. Okay, we know you're a business owner. Would you like to plug something? Where can people find you? What can they buy from you?
Okay, so yes, I own the Workstation. I am looking for any freelancers or small businesses that have got far too much on their plate and are not able to do it themselves because they are trying to focus on the business, but the admin is getting in the way. They're ending up working till ridiculous o'clock at night and getting up at crap o'clock in the morning because they are having to do their admin. That's me. I'm here to take that off your plate. So yeah, I'm the Workstation administrative help, www.the-workstation.co.uk. You can find me there.
Fabulous. And thank you for being an awesome guest today. Obviously, as our usual format, Adelaide will be back with us next week. So thanks for joining us, 3Spoonies. on episode 12, Being Loud and Proud About Your Disability. We'd love to know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for our weekly podcast and leave us a review. You can find us on social media, and we'd love it if you join the Business Success Network for Disabled Entrepreneurs Facebook group. And you can even buy us a coffee if you like what we do even. All our links will be in the show notes, including Adelaide's, and we'll see you next week for community questions. Have a great day and keep track of your spoons.